good on this hero that 4CNL will consistently pick it in the first phase. His Wyvern is incredible. He had great curses. He had a couple of really fight-winning Cold Embraces. You see his great understanding of how to use Splinter Blast compared to a lot of other players that get like mediocre ones. He almost always finds 2 or 3 targets on the damage and gets the right targets down. So really solid play from him. And while I'm talking about everything in the game anyway, I think the Bloodseeker was not dealt with at all from Alliance. He had 100 CS minute 10. How often do you see that? 100 CS, Midas, could pretty much go whatever he wanted in the game. Ultimately went for a Blink, which I think was also really cool. Allowed him to very easily get in and get bashes and use his Abyssal. So a lot of interesting stuff in this game.
Yeah, and of course we've got Mott joining us. Morning to you, sir. How you feeling today, buddy?
Good afternoon, Andrew. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm here, ready to talk about the game. And I got to say, that was actually a pretty great game, to be honest. For a good 20 minutes, I was looking at the net worth graph, and it was even up until about the 24th minute into the game. And I thought that was very impressive that Alliance was able to stay in so long. Because, like Sin said, I think if you look at the CS for the Bloodseeker, he was kind of bodying load. I mean, it's not the easiest thing to out CS a Bloodseeker when he gets free farm. But also, Weehaw actually had a solo kill, as Draskyl mentioned, onto S4 earlier on in the game, which started everything off for them. And then pretty much every team fight Alliance tried to take, it fell a little bit short. It felt like in the earlier stages of the game. And at that point, once it got later into the game, it felt as though, 4CL were too far ahead. They had the items to work with, and they were just kind of owning every fight. They were getting good winner's curses, and they were getting really good charges from Bambo and really good plays. So it's only the first game, and I did come in at the tail end of those server issues, so it's a bit rough, obviously.
Yeah, Bambo definitely recovered.
Speaking of the server issue, I don't want to harp on it too much, but I really wish I could go back, and I wish I had looked at the graphs, because I don't know how much Alliance was actually up by, because if I remember correctly, Minuts, first of all, was amazing in the first 6 minutes. He was the MVP of the 6 minutes, if you will, because he'd killed helped kill the 4 of the 5 kills, I believe.
I think it was like a 1,500 net worth lead or so when I had last checked.
It wasn't anything crazy. I mean, I think the reason it wasn't too crazy is because Weehaw was... I can't remember the last time I've seen domination that hard in mid versus S4. It was like... I feel like it was 35 to 40 last hits versus like 6. It was ridiculous discrepancy.
Well, and that was because S4 was moving around, right? He was at that time S4 had 2 kills, no deaths, and 1 assist. So the CS chart was out of control. But that
was at the very beginning of the game, though, I think, right?
Yeah, but S4 still hadn't died when the server crashed. So. Pretty unfortunate, but the Blink Dagger on Bloodseeker, I know Cinderin mentioned it, and I saw it, and of course that's a pretty cool item to see picked up on Bloodseeker, but once he's already got the Abyssal Blade, it's pretty incredible. He can just hop in, initiate on 1, and then that'll open up some space for the Winter Wyvern to follow up, get a good Winter's Curse, and we saw it in those last few fights. Just the amount of control they were able to put out was pretty impressive.
My question is, who's the Leprechaun from 4CL? Does anybody know?
I'm guessing Bambo.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, so it's 3CL today, technically, right? Since Weehaw is the stand-in.
Weehaw's the 4th Clover.
Was amazing.
Today.
Yeah, Weehaw really recovered well. He was off to such a slow start in that game. I think he was 0-4 at one point with only a couple of assists, and then the big turning point seemed like the Bloodseeker BKB. That was the fight when the 4 Clovers took them for a 5-0 trade, not even a trade at that, just a 5-0 wipe, and then that was when Alliance, it felt like they were at such a deficit. Coming back was quite the hill to climb. So we will have Game 2 coming up here momentarily, just waiting for the players to get settled into the new lobby and get set up with the draft. So this is when things start to get interesting. Of course, all of the heroes banned and picked in Game 1 will be off the table. So the teams will be forced into slightly different picks and something a little bit different.
There's still so many good heroes available, a lot of good Alliance heroes. Still, I think, obviously, for S4, there's still a lot of Bulldog heroes, Furion being one of them, obviously. Still Techies, too, which I think is really... Anti-Mage if Floda wants to pick that up. I imagine that'll get banned this game. I don't think it'll get banned. There's a lot of really good heroes. A lot of targeted bans the last game from what I saw. Obviously, Iowa's been taken out.
Techies is still in the pool.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see another Techies game. I know everyone else here doesn't want to see it, but I don't mind it. I'm a fan.
I don't mind watching Techies now and again.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Cinderin loves Techies. Let's talk about that for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, let's ban it. Not talk about it.
Auto ban?
Yeah.
Auto ban Techies. Everybody will love that.
Ban it. I want to see Oracle, because I think I'm in a place right now when it comes to that hero where I personally think it might be ready for CM, but part of the reason for that could just be that the oracles you see played aren't really that proficient on it, and that players that play with it also don't understand it well enough. So I really want to see a game where Oracle is played by someone who is very mechanically skilled on the hero and plays it with a team that has the coordination, so that we can see the real potential of the hero. I don't think we've seen it in a competitive match since, well, obviously not since Captain's Draft 2.0, but I believe that was played with the old Oracle, the one that whose ultimate made you invisible.
Yeah.
The new Oracle is very different with the ultimate. It's got a very much longer cooldown, but it makes you invulnerable to disables while it's running. So,
do you think if you had the opening, you would take Huskar Oracle first too?
I think that would be really strong if you can play it, especially if you target the bans correctly. I'm not sure what was banned in the last game, all of them, but I do believe there were a couple of Huskar counters in between that are now gone. For example, the Ags on Lina. So it could be really interesting, and it could be something maybe 4CL pull out.
Yeah. So the draft